New Thought Media Network. We are a global broadcast network of positive music, media, and entertainment, inspiring humanity's evolution along the journey of enlightenment and creating a world of love, peace, empowerment, and prosperity for all. New Thought Media Network. Positively inspiring.
Hello, welcome to Rockin The Love. I am Robin Rice Olmsted.
And I'm Gil, and I'm happy to be here with you today. We are doing our thing we do on every Wednesday, talking a little bit about relationship, the joy of relationship, and that's why we call it Rockin The Love. So, thanks for joining us.
I was thinking about what you said. We call it Rockin The Love. Why?
Because we talk about the joy of relationship.
And that's all relationships, not just romantic relationships.
Well, yes. If you limited it to romantic, people would argue with you that it's not joy all the time. We can't do that. It's got to have the reality check that there's joy everywhere, somewhere, somehow.
Are you saying there's not joy in our relationship all the time?
I'm saying it doesn't always feel like it.
Nice say. All right. Enough of our marriage. Welcome to the show. Today we're going to be talking about the quantum field of relationship. The quantum field of relationship. It feels like people throw that word around a lot, quantum. I mean, I don't even know that I really knew exactly what it meant before this week when people started throwing that word around and I started investigating it a little more. So, I mean, you know, it just seems so mystical and mysterious and like we know, like, but interestingly enough, quantum, what is quantum?
It is the study of the smallest particles, the smallest things.
The smallest things. And to me, quantum feels like it's big.
Mm-hmm. Well, and in fact, that because of the way those small little things interact with one another is part of why it becomes big, because actually it becomes those particles affecting everything.
Right. So we're going to be talking about that. But before we do, we're going to talk about us, because why not? It's our show. Damn it.
We're here.
We're here. And we'd love to hear from you too. And hello to Shay out there. In the Rocky Mountains. That's right. She's out there in Colorado. So thanks for joining us.
And we live by the muddy river.
We do. We live by the Rio Grande River. We're in Albuquerque. And I got to say, you know, I remember in fifth grade history, like learning about the Rio Grande River and you know, the mules crossing the river and the this and the that. I was a little disappointed when I got here. I was like, wait, what? That's what we were talking about? So.
Well, it has shrunk a bit due to water usage, I think. That's been a major shift. Plus the fact that the last year or so, we've not had a lot of precipitation. So it doesn't even have a point in time where it gets really full.
Yeah. It's an interesting, what do you call it? Like monument, artifact. What do you call it?
Not sure.
The place that's historic?
I'm still not sure.
Okay. It's interesting. It's an interesting place. All right. Okay. We're rolling. So, how was your week?
Week's been good, busy.
Please stop.
Lots going on. Um, we've gotten a lot done, and we had a bit of a conclusion and yet an opening on our last Sunday at the center, and we are in process of transferring everything to the new place. Started that last Sunday, so
You're so cryptic.
it's crazy.
Like these people weren't necessarily at the center, except for like Alvin and Louise who hide out there. But we had an opening and a closure. What does that mean?
Well, it means it was supposed to be a closing service, but it really felt more like a celebration, an opening to something new.
Ah, so got it. There you go.
It was a quantum experience.
Yeah, you're going to have a quantum experience after this show. All right. So my week was, it was good. I feel, this is going to sound weird to you probably, but I feel like nothing exciting is happening. It's just like every day seems like business as usual, and like business. It's not bad. It's just like not exciting. There's nothing I'm like looking forward to or excited about or challenged by. So that's how I feel today.
All right. All right.
We don't fight. We rock the love in a forceful way. All right. So, time for the good news.
Time for the good news.
There is good news. There is good news in the world. So much going on. So much going on. My goodness. So tell me your good news.
Well, the good news is neither one of us are reporting on the State of the Union address from last night. So that's positive news. I wanted to bring up an article I found regarding a town in Alberta. It's a relatively small town, 60, 70,000 people, that had some kind of restorative justice program working with their teens, and it was working well, so they decided to expand it and expand it out to everybody, all ages who had committed crimes. And basically in restorative justice, someone who has assaulted someone or stolen something from them or whatever the thing is has to admit that they did it, and the other person has to be willing to meet with them and talk about it. And then what happens is the person who's the perpetrator gets to hear what kind of effect this really had on the other people, and gets to work through the feelings that the other person is feeling. And they so far have done this with over 100 people, 135, I think it said, 115. One person has reoffended since they've been through this program. Wow. Nothing like what happens when you send people to jail for that same criminal activity and they come out, and the recidivism rate is huge.
Yeah.
So it's fascinating, and it's really making me think about what things we need to be putting our time into. Where do we need to be working? And I think a lot of it is more in, again, connection. It's connecting people. They even told the story of a brother, two brothers, and something happened, and one of them got pissed and grabbed a kitchen knife and cut his brother, and all mayhem ensued. And they went through this together and have restored their relationship to the point where they're living together again. And, it's pretty positive. It's pretty positive, but that wouldn't happen unless the work went into it, the intentional work, which I think this type of program offers the container for that to happen. Because often we don't know, either we don't want to do it, or we don't know how to do it, or whatever it is. So anyway. I think
Well,
that's super cool.
I think it is super cool, and I think it speaks to what we're talking about today, the um, the quantum space in
Hmm.
relationships, the little things, the shifts that can take place in a program like that, as opposed to throwing someone into an institutionalized barred program. So I think there's a lot to be said about that.
What did you find?
Well, my story is about a man who traveled the world getting 1 million hugs, and it started after 9/11. He he had a friend that worked on the 99th floor of the World Trade Center, and his name was Kevin, and he watched the tower go down, and he knew that his friend was in there, and Kevin was someone who really made him want to be a better person, and he wanted to do something that really honored him and helped him move past the loss. So he decided 9 months after the towers fell that he would get on his bike, and he honored his life by pedaling to his hometown of Oregon from Philadelphia. So he rode his bike 4,200 miles across the country, and as he did, everywhere he stopped, wanted to talk and connect and feel safe. And above all, they just wanted to have a hug. So he he began giving hugs and really being that space of being aware that he was biking right into their broken hearts, and that conversation and connection was really the space for healing. So he did that first ride in 2002, and then he continued to do another one in 2004 where he rode from Cairo to Cape Town. And then he did another one in 2007 from Istanbul to Beijing. And he's done them across Europe and Australia and Israel, hugging the whole way. And yeah, he interesting enough, like he has a little card, that he gives for a hug. And he said he just what started out as this one thing really began a whole thing experiment for him with touch and being able to just connect with people from all across the country in the world. um, and he actually, like, he has stories about when he was on a plane with a man who was flying back to Alaska to deal with his father passing, and he could tell that that the guy was really hurting, and so during the flight, he just began to talk about his life, and open up to him about his pain and when his father died, and really just laughing and crying and swapping stories and holding hands and all of that, and by the end of the ride, he gave the guy his little hug card, and they only met that one time, but the guy continues to connect with them a couple times a year, and always lets him know that when he cleans out his wallet, he the only thing he saves is his hug card and his license and credit cards, of course, but and just how that connection made him feel. Someone else, there were teens. There were teens who also had just lost her dad, and something was going on, and the kid said, "Oh, I wish we could find that guy that gave hugs." Because that was the time they needed it. And he connected with them, and he's just connected with thousands of people all over the world, and has thousands of stories, and really, like, created this practice of, like, he has what embrace stands for, and that they're really like principles to work within for connecting with people and engaging. Like, E is for engaging engaging others with open hearts. Authenticity isn't optional. People know when you're being performative versus being present. And he has a whole, list from the Embrace acronym. And it just really felt like these principles are what's needed in the world, Like imagine if we could really connect on that level with people and hear their stories instead of write their stories based on what we see, kind of thing. So so now it's been 25 years since the Twin Towers collapsed, and he continues to do this work, and
All right. Very cool.
Yeah, very cool. I mean, it feels timely for where we are in the world. And how often do you feel like you need a hug? Just because you turned on the news or you heard something, or I don't know. I don't know if it's a hug or sometimes I just want to pull the covers back over my head. But same cuddly feeling on some level. So that is our good news. There's people out there connecting and hugging and doing this amazing work in the world.
And following what their call is, even though none of that makes any sense, particularly after the first time you did it. Why would you continue doing it? How do you do that with your life? There's a lot of questions there. And he chose to make it his mission and figured out how to do it. I don't know how he did because I didn't find any information, but he did. So there you go.
He did. And you can too. So when we come back, we're going to explore the quantum field of relationships. All kinds of relationships. We're going to explore that messy, amazing space where we find out a little bit more about what that means. So join us after these words from our sponsors right back here on New Thought Media Network.
Please help us say thank you to all of our organizational sponsors, including the Hepperlin Foundation, Affiliated New Thought Network, International New Thought Alliance, Science of Mind Archives and Library Foundation, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, New Thought Philadelphia, Center for Spiritual Living United Life, Sunshine Cathedral, Planned Happiness Institute, Summit Center for Spiritual Living, One Heart Retreats, Universal Joy Center, Unity Kitchener, Unity Spiritual Center Ottawa, Om Center for Spiritual Living, Satya Center, Begin Within Ministries, Center for Spiritual Living North Jersey, Unity of Savannah, and the Center for Spiritual Living Seattle, as well as all of our individual donors. On behalf of New Thought Media Network, thank you, and please like, share, and subscribe. New Thought Media Network, come be you. Come expand your spiritual journey. Join us for Just the Talk, Sundays, 1 p.m. to 6 p.m. Mountain Time. Experience Unity Kitchener and Ottawa. Center for Spiritual Living Midtown, Center for Spiritual Living Denver, Unity of Garden Park, New Thought Philadelphia, the Sunshine Cathedral, Unity of Savannah, and the Om Center for Spiritual Living. Come unleash your spiritual potential with New Thought Media Network. New Thought Media Network proudly presents the Science of Mind Saturday Conversations. Learn more about the Science of Mind philosophy, faith, and way of life. Join our team of experts for a weekly deep dive discussion. Come study the science of mind, chapter by chapter, and resources from the Science of Mind archives. Plan to join us every Saturday, 9 a.m. Mountain Time. Only on the New Thought Media Network.
Hello, welcome back to Rockin The Love. He's Gil,
She's Robin.
and together we are your hosts on this auspicious day where we are going to talk about the quantum field of relationship.
Why is this such an auspicious day?
I don't know.
You don't know? It's your birthday eve.
It is that. So the quantum field of relationship, what is that? I think that's the space between us. It's the energetic field, the ecosystem that we create. It's the field where emotions move and pattern shifts and connection reorganizes itself long before we ever know or speak a word about it.
So how
yeah.
does that relate to quantum?
It's a good question. What, will you tell me?
Well, it's interesting because there's a whole theory, the quantum field of relationship, that posits the concepts that, similar to particles, people in relationships are profoundly connected. And with that, the interconnectedness through entanglement, emotional, physical, and spiritual states are shared rather than separate. And so the idea is that once the connection is made, then when they go apart, that shared experience still exists, which is quite fascinating.
Is it?
Is it?
Yeah, is it? I mean, like, that feels, to me, that feels like the truth of what happens in life. I mean, otherwise we wouldn't be connected to the news or to when we hear somebody say something or when we feel like something is going on in the ethers. I don't know.
So
I'm
you
just
attribute
asking.
that to that kind of thing where there's energy flowing that you are literally aware of, even if you're not consciously aware of it.
Yeah. Yeah.
It is affecting you. It's having an effect on your life, your process.
Yes, that is my theory.
Wow. Wow.
Why am
So
I throwing you for a loop?
No, but in this whole concept, you have entanglement, you have wave particle duality, observation and reality, and uncertainty principle. And all those things are principles of quantum mechanics, quantum physics, and they apply to the smallest particles in our universe. And at the same time, they apply to relationship. And fascinating that you create a shared relational experience, even though you show up as two separate entities, and then you have a shared experience which is similar to a wave because you're flowing together, and you start as two particles, two separate entities. So there's this whole walking through the process piece.
And see, this is where we're different, right? Because to me, that's just a lot of words. I mean, it's true, and it's a lot of words that describe life. I mean, like for me, that's what I'm doing. I mean, like in a relationship, it's like if you're having a bad day, I share that bad day, not always by choice.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's out there, it's in the energetic field, it's all of those things.
So the two particles join into the wave of the same experience,
Right.
or a complement, similar experience. And that can happen whether or not those particles are present in the same space,
Correct.
right? Yeah. Yeah. And so, interestingly, the idea even of people falling in love is this idea of how once a particle is connected to another particle, then when they separate, they continue to affect each other. And that's when people move into that connection with one another, then they affect each other ongoingly. And it can be for a very long time. It can be, I don't know. I just find it interesting that there's that comparison.
Well, I think this is what happens. So, we're talking about, it sounds like we're hovering on a romantic relationship, but it also takes place in other relationships. It's not, it's
Certainly family relationships easily.
well, and work relationships.
relationships.
Everywhere, because it's all energy, right? And people feel things, that sometimes other people can't express, and there's the communication that's communicated in the silence.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in relationships, I think this is why it's so important to keep to keep to keep it a sacred and clear space, a clean space that opens us up to being open. But really, it opens us up to letting go of stuff that could be holding us down, or our own voices, whatever, in our heads, kind of thing. So it's like you got to keep the field clear.
Well, what about this? In New Thought, in Science of Mind in particular, we talk about this idea of the overall consciousness and memory of the race or the species of humanity. And so all of the things, all the bad things, the good things, whatever have happened, are all held in this. And the beliefs that people have held become beliefs that are easily not attracted but adopted, because they're so prevalent in the mix. And I listen to this and it makes total sense, because what happens is the connection, there's always places where we connect with other people, and as those connections happen, we begin to be affected by all kinds of others' experiences, others' decisions, others' beliefs. Is that possible?
Yeah, it is possible, but I think that's why it's so important. That's why practice of different techniques and modalities that we talk about become so important, because it's really about keeping the vessel clear, right? And knowing what you want to attract, what you want to bring, what you want to do in a relationship. This was another show topic that we had talked about. I'm going to bring it in here. So what if, I was talking with Gil about what's the effects of going to bed angry, right? And so I think depending upon the field you live in, it can either be good or not as good. One school of thought is, if you know go, it's great to not go to bed angry, to really clear the field and to allows your nervous system to rest and those kind of things. The other is the fact that we're never disconnected. So even if we go to sleep, we turn our backs to each other, we're in the same field and we're still connected. And so if there, you can have that spaciousness to be able to move through the stuff, your stuff. Perhaps you come back the next day with a different outlook or ready to talk about it. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So this goes to my point of there's no good and bad, but how do you get to that place where you know? Because if for you it's one thing and for me another, then the quantum field is going to be a mess, right? Because I'm not happy and you're happy, or you're not happy and I'm happy, and it's an entanglement of emotions. So for me, I think in order to have healthy quantum movement, I mean, I think relationships are all about quantum movements. It's all about those little things. So much of it is about the stuff we don't even talk about or see, but we feel, you know, but you also have to get clear on your connection to whoever it's with and their love language or their desire. And then you have to adjust accordingly. And to me, that's where the kerfuffle happens sometimes.
So, but if you go with the quantum concept that the one entity is having, that they're both having the same experience, or they're working through the same experience, then if I'm experiencing a need to be, if I'm experiencing the feeling of wanting to be quiet, at some level you are too. And when you're experiencing the need to jump in and figure it all out, there's some part of me that wants to do that as well. And so we're at odds with ourselves, in essence.
Maybe. I don't think that's true for me. I don't think I'm at odds. I don't think I'm at odds. I know, I mean, I think deeper than whatever I've talked about or my desire has been, I know within myself what will calm my nervous system down, what will make me relax, what will make it easier for me to let go and have a good night's sleep.
So how does that fit in with the quantum concept of a relationship?
Because those are the small movements that affect the relationship. Those are the small micro movements that, you know, that can shift the whole thing. Does that make sense to you?
No, because I'm trying to figure out what that micro movement is you're talking about. Is it someone else acquiescing to what you want? Is it you letting go? Is it just acknowledging that that's how it feels? What is that that's going on?
Well,
That's the micro movement.
each micro movement leads you to a step of strengthening or not your relationship, right? So that's the micro movement. You know, on some level, that's how you're building new possibilities. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I'm just trying to understand it in relation to the quantum concept of entanglement and you know, wave particle and some of those kinds of things. How does it relate?
Okay. So everything's about cause and effect, right?
Can be.
When is it not?
It depends on whether we're trying to make it cause and effect for everything or whether we're trying to work through it.
No, it doesn't, because no matter what, there's a cause and there's an effect. It doesn't matter what we're trying to do. There's still a cause and effect, right?
Okay.
I mean, no matter what, even if you take care of yourself and you go, I'm doing it my way, I'm going to bed, or whatever that is, or I'm doing it her way and I'm going to talk, you're still going to have some effect, right? And we're co-creating this field of energy together. No matter how I respond or you respond, we're still co-creating that energy together. And every thought, every movement, everything you say, all of those things affect the field and the emotion, and can change the whole. That's the quantum effect. That's, whereas if you took a micro step in a different way, it changes the field, or I did, either one.
Mm-hmm.
And I would say that I think that it has to be an authentic step. You have to really be present to what you're doing. You can't just go, yeah, fine, okay, let's talk, or whatever.
Well, yeah, but any step is still going to affect the field. It's
right,
still
but
gonna,
the
it's
field
still going
is
to give an effect. Now, whether or not it gives the one you want may be the question, or the one you're indicating that you're going for.
but what because one is a field of me versus you,
Okay.
right? Am I going to win, or are you going to win?
Right.
The other is a field we generate together that gives us the balance of knowing that we're in this together, that we've created a space that's agreeable to you, that's agreeable to me.
But what you said was, if somebody comes in and sort of decides to play along with whatever the thing is that they really don't want to do, they don't, it's not their decision, they're playing along, then in fact, that is creating a different outcome, because you can't just pretend to do it and get the outcome that you're looking for.
That's what I said. That's exactly what I said.
That's not what I heard.
Well, that's exactly what I meant. So that's exactly what I think I said. There was something else to say?
No, I want to hear exactly what you're saying next.
Well, I mean, so I think that's the shift, is that you, in a relationship, you have to realize that you're creating the field together. Even if we're talking about a boss and employee relationship,
Mm-hmm.
you're creating the field together. And so it's got to be an awareness of your thoughts and what you're thinking and how you're acting. You can't go into work, let's just say, in a pissed off mood and think that nobody's going to know you're in a pissed off mood. So where are you reacting from? What's the field you're creating? Because every thought and emotion, and even in the silence, ripples through the space. It echoes through the vibration.
Yeah, I think that's accurate. And I guess the difference is not so much whether or not it's a quantum experience. It's understanding what that means, and therefore how I work within it to my advantage, if you will, to the advantage of the relationship, to the advantage of my feeling, the advantage of life, whatever it is. Because if I go in to work and I'm pissed off, and then I'm upset that I had such a bad day at work because everybody was pissy, then I'm not acknowledging. I'm not going to have a way to fix that in my life unless I acknowledge that that's part of the quantum process. Because that takes it back to, what did I walk in with?
Well, yeah, and you can call it the quantum process, but I mean, that's taking responsibility for your actions. And that just speaks to everything we say about, you're the only one there. So if you're harboring this, how does that play out into the rest of the
Well, into the joint field you're creating with whoever else is there.
right?
Yeah.
Yeah. And so it's like in every moment we have the capability to be able to choose, and in order to do that, sometimes, especially in romantic, long-term relationships, you have to let go of some of the things you're holding. You know. I mean, I think we do it all the time. I think good, bad, indifferent. It doesn't really matter. But I mean, I think we've had to grow through different things. I've had to grow through learning how you need to process things, and does that mean it's a done deal? No, it means that I'm trying to say it without being whatever, but it means that we should always be looking for shifts and awarenesses and how we can support the field being a better place and choosing the higher possibility. I mean, I think that's the question. Are you choosing the higher possibility in situations? And really understanding, like, it's not a me versus you or a us versus them, or it's really, and I mean, it's so out picturing in the world, right? It's like, what's being asked for,
Mm-hmm.
And according to you and the plethora of New Thought ministers, it's love. It's always love, that no matter what, it's love. And so coming back to a relationship, that's the same thing. If one person wants to talk and the other person doesn't, what do they really need? They need love. They need support in that moment. Does it mean you have to talk about the exact thing that's going on? Depends on your partner, but probably not. It's more of just how do you take care of the situation.
How do you show up as love in the situation? You're showing up. Are we contributing to a field that is increasing in love and harmony, or are we contributing to a field that is decreasing?
Yeah.
I mean, kind of that's what it comes down to.
Yeah. And I'm going to share a quote. A philosopher once said, "It's necessary for the very existence of science that the same conditions always produce the same results." Well, they do not. But I think that's poignant, right? Because there's no real roadmap other than to be love.
Well,
but it doesn't guarantee you a result.
Yeah, what that struck me is in quantum physics, finding out that what particles do can depend on who's observing them or how they're being observed, which means you don't get the exact same result. You may, it begs the question, what does it mean? What are the factors of the exact same thing to get the exact same result? Most of us would think somebody standing there with a notebook watching is not part of that equation. Doesn't matter if they're tall, short, or they're there at all. You should get the same result if all the other ingredients are there. But what this is saying, quantum is saying, is that view of science limits the reality. The reality is it's much broader. It includes all of it.
Right.
So if you're going to set up the same exact situation twice, you've got to take into account all kinds of factors that seem like they're extraneous.
Yeah, and still, and all that said,
but that's why in relationships you don't get the same result every time, because it's even though it seems like the same situation, it's not. You know what I mean? So you can't always predict how it's going to work. And I think that's what that guy was getting at.
Right. You can't. Well, yeah, you can't count on one thing to do the same thing all the time. Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, because there's a whole bunch of other pieces to whatever the puzzle is.
Right, but what you can count on is you're in the field when it feels a certain way. You know that like when you're in the field or when we're in the field, like we're in sync, and we're attuned to each other's nervous systems and knowing what the person needs in order and to be able to navigate that and really be in flow and like when we know we're speaking the same language without even knowing what's coming next. I mean, that's a whole quantum coherence of possibility, right? I mean, so you know that feeling.
Yeah, what came to me when you said language was the concept of people who don't speak the same language and yet are communicating.
Say more.
Well, I mean that somehow being in that field together allows them to experience or to walk through something together, even though logically and in the seeming conscious world they can't even quite grasp it because they can't understand what the other one's trying to tell them through words, through hearing, through the normal channels, if you will, of how we communicate.
Well, but space can also be part of the quantum field. I mean, it's not just distance. It's that knowingness and that energetic that it's okay to have space and to allow shift to happen, and
Mm-hmm.
so
Mhm.
it's not that it has to be an emotion thing.
No, but what I meant was, even though two people don't on the surface have the general physical means of understanding one another, they're still having the experience in the field. And an example of that, a very poignant, obvious example of that is someone who doesn't, two people that don't speak the same language.
Yeah, I hear you.
Yeah. So
Well-
they wouldn't relate in that way. And yet there's still the relationship. There's still the thing that happens.
There's still the connection.
Yeah.
Yeah, and I think that's because the relationship is a living thing because we're all living, breathing things, and so there is a place that we connect no matter what, no matter if it feels great, if it feels good, if it doesn't feel good, and so I read that they say the quantum movement says the relationship itself has a consciousness. And that is a third presence. So it's not really about, what do I want? What do you want? It's more about what's the relationship asking for? What wants to emerge through us?
That's I don't know about that shit. That's a little crazy.
Well, but that's what we do. That's where the relationship becomes a spiritual practice. That's where visioning. I mean, like people say, you have to vision like this and sit down. And I vision all the time without doing anything. I mean, that's my question. When I have a question is, what's the highest and best in this moment? I don't have to sit down and and pray and, what's the highest, best, what's seeking to emerge in this situation right here, right now, and how can I be the love here? I mean, that's the practice. It's a conscious. It's a consciousness. It's a living, breathing consciousness.
So are you getting in touch with the highest and best for, I'm just trying to figure out how this connects. Because I get the idea of, yes, taking a moment, connecting with spirit, understanding what's highest and best. But is that coming somehow from or to the consciousness of the relationship or through you, to you?
I'm not sure of the question.
I think it's because I'm not understanding the premise. So we're having a little trouble.
Well, I think in order to live into the space of relationship, I mean, it's coming through me, and I am the relationship. So, or like if you look at it like I just read, that the relationship has a consciousness, and this doesn't have to be work or hard or serious. I mean, from it depends on your relationship with spirit, your God. I mean, my God, we have a funky good time a lot of the time, and sometimes they're a jokester, they're fun, they're serious, there's all kinds of things. So it becomes about really experimenting with that and asking those questions and exploring and living into, like, if your relationship is an invitation to play. My relationship is an invitation to play. How in that moment do I move beyond or give space for if my partner's not playing, or what does that look like? And how does that happen? Does that make sense?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay. Well, if it makes sense, then
it kind of makes sense. I don't know. I don't think I could explain it to anyone, but there's something there.
Well, thank you.
I'm just saying that would have to be with that for a while to try to understand it in a way that I could really say I understood it.
Right. And I think that's the challenge for you, because you like to understand it, and yet you're intrigued by the other side. And to me, this is really the portal that we're moving through. It's a playful, it's a space for learning. It's a place, I mean, I gave you the rules when we got married. I told you for me what I needed, and that it was needed to be playful and romantic and this and that forever. And those were my playful, what I needed rules. And I still hold those rules in me. And so on some level, that's where I come from on all of the things. Even when you're in a funk or whatever, it's like, I may not do it right for you, but it's still that spirit emerging through me. Does that make sense?
Yeah. Yeah, I think so.
All right, I'm going to share this quote. Quantum physics is the physics of possibilities, and not just material possibilities, but also possibilities of meaning, of feeling, and of intuiting. You choose everything you experience from these possibilities. So quantum physics is a way of understanding your life as one long series of choices that are in themselves the ultimate acts of creativity. By Amit Goswami. That clear it up for you anymore?
Yeah, I feel like that just really took care of it. I'm there now.
All right. So
I'll call him it and thank him.
you are a piece of work. But anyway, so I think, here's the deal. When you're trying to live in this quantum movement of relationships, it's really, I think there's really an opportunity to be playful, to have fun, to inquire, to really look at your relationship. I mean, like, as if the relationship was speaking to you. What's it telling you? What do you need? What does it need?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. Maybe this episode opened up something for you, a new perspective, a deeper curiosity. a little more compassion.
A large crevice of confusion, whatever it is.
Whatever it is, that means that the quantum field is doing its work, because that's what we're talking about. So just a space to remember that love isn't just what we say or do. It's the energy that we bring, and it's the space we hold, and it's the field we create. And this is why we tell you every week to rock the love, y'all, because the world needs it. We are creating that field for the planet. So until next time, keep rocking the love. And we know there's a field of quantum magic that's out there grabbing you up and holding you in a big giant hug. So thanks everybody, and we'll see you next week. Rock the love, y'all.
Bye now.